Hi guys, my name is Ryan. Today I'm going to talk about Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell. Tough enough. The professor cut into the dead body while his medical students looked on. Some young men in the class blushed. Others looked sick or laughed nervously. Elizabeth Blackwell was determined not to show any emotion. She watched the demonstration closely while pinching her hand as hard as she could. The pain helped her keep her face still. She had to show she was tough enough. The year was 1847, and Blackwell was the first woman ever to attend medical college in the United States. Despite a long history of women serving as midwives, many people still thought women were too delicate to be doctors. Blackwell was determined to prove them wrong. A new direction. Elizabeth Blackwell was born in England in 1821. She was the second of 9 children in a close, loving family. Her parents believed that children, both boys and girls, deserved a good education. In those days, educated white boys could pursue any kind of career. Girls, however, were expected to learn skills for becoming wives and mothers. If they were lucky, they learned to read and write. In 1832, Elizabeth's father moved the family to the United States to start a new business, but bad luck followed them. People who owed Mr. Blackwell money did not repay him. In 1838, he died after a short illness. The family was left heartbroken and poor. He died in 1838. So, with some simple math, he died when Elizabeth was 17 years old. The Blackwells struggled to get by. The boys took jobs. The girls started a school that students paid to attend. In 1844, a visit to the neighbor changed the direction of Elizabeth's life. The woman was dying. She complained of awful treatment she had received from male doctors. She was sure a woman's physician would better understand her illness. She urged Elizabeth, smart as she was, to train to become a doctor. At first, Elizabeth rejected the idea, but she could not stop thinking about the possibility. Against the odds. Today, it is difficult to imagine the limits that American girls and women faced in the 1840s. They could not vote. Fathers, husbands, and brothers controlled almost all businesses, homes, and money. Women had fewer career options. They might find work as nurses or teachers. Becoming a lawyer or doctor, though, was nearly impossible. Men often refused to admit that women were equals in brains and talents. Instead of discouraging Blackwell, these attitudes drove her to try and become the first woman doctor in the United States. She faced 3 big challenges. First, she needed money to pay for medical school. Second, she needed to learn enough about human biology to be ready for medical studies. Third, she needed a medical school that would accept women. In 1845, Blackwell moved to North Carolina and then to South Carolina. She lived with the families of 2 doctors. She taught music to save money for medical school. When she had time off, she studied the doctor's medical texts. And by 1847, Blackwell felt ready to take on a third challenge. She applied to the best medical colleges in Philadelphia and New York City. She continued to study with the helpful doctors, even as 16 schools rejected her. Elizabeth, there is of no use trying. One advisor told her. In October, a letter from Geneva Medical College in western New York arrived. She braced herself for another rejection, but this letter was different. Elizabeth Blackwell has been accepted at last. At 26, she was going to medical school. This is the way to learn. Blackwell didn't know it, but the acceptance had accidents of all sorts. The professors at Geneva Medical College had given students the choice of whether she has been accepted. The professor also thought the all-male class would refuse to accept a woman. Thinking the vote was a joke, all the students voted to admit her. The faculty was shocked, but the school kept its words. Elizabeth Blackwell became the first woman accepted into a medical college in the United States. At first, a few professors did not want her to attend some courses. For example, they thought it was improper to her, but to study male anatomy. anatomy. Blackwell gently but firmly asked that she receive the same training as her male classmates. Her professors and her classmates finally agreed, and her quiet determination and ability would soon won respect. "Oh, this is the way to learn," she noted in her diary. On January 23rd, 1849, she walked across the stage at graduation. The president of the medical college handed Elizabeth her diploma and bowed. The local newspaper called it a scene for a painter and praised Blackwell's courage. She had finished first in her class. More importantly, she was now Elizabeth Blackwell, MD, Doctor of Medicine, a champion for women doctors. After graduating, Dr. Blackwell sailed to Europe to continue his training. She took a position in a hospital in Paris. Soon after arriving, she had a life-changing accident. A baby she was caring for had an eye infection. Blackwell was cleaning it when some water squirted in her face. Her eyes became infected too. The doctors had to remove Blackwell's left eye, and she had to wear a glass eye for the rest of her life. At one time, she had been interested in becoming a surgeon, but her bad eyesight now made it impossible. Blackwell didn't let her disability stop her, though. She returned to the United States in 1851 and set up an office in New York City. She barely made enough money to eat. Most of her patients were from poor families who had recently moved to the city of Germany and Ireland. Although sometimes they could not pay, she treated her sick patients anyways. She also taught them about healthy eating and good hygiene, keeping clean and not spreading disease. As Dr. Blackwell worked, an idea formed in her mind. What if she set up her own hospital run by women doctors? In 1857, she established a small hospital for poor women and children in New York City. She was joined by her sister Emily, who in 1854 became the third woman doctor in the United States. Now women had a place to continue their medical training. Thank you, Dr. Blackwell. Dr. Blackwell continued to see and treat patients. More and more, though, she devoted her time to promoting medical education for women in the United States and England. In November 1868, Blackwell and her sister opened the Women's Medical College of the New York Infirmary. It was one of the first medical schools where women were welcomed without doubts or questions. A year later, Dr. Blackwell moved back to England. She continued to practice medicine there until her retirement in 1877. Afterward, she wrote books to teach girls and women better ways to protect their health. The first black woman doctor, Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler, was the first black woman doctor in the United States. She began her medical career as a nurse in Massachusetts. In 1860, she was accepted into New England Female Medical College in Boston. Dr. Crumpler faced similar challenges to Elizabeth Blackwell, including many people's belief that women were not strong enough to be doctors. In addition, Dr. Crumpler dealt with racism in medical school and as a practicing doctor when she graduated. White doctors often treated her badly and doubted her abilities. Still, Dr. Crumpler persisted. After the Civil War ended in 1865, Dr. Crumpler and her husband moved to Richmond, Virginia, where she cared for many poor people of color, especially women, and treat sickness in babies. Dr. Crumpler broke barriers and led the way for black women doctors today. By the time Blackwell died in 1910, there were almost 7,400 women doctors in the United States. More than 1 in every 3 U.S. doctors is a woman. They practice every kind of medicine. They treat children, save lives in emergency rooms, and do brain surgery. Elizabeth Blackwell's brave efforts opened the door for all women doctors who have followed in her footsteps.
Good job.
Thanks for listening, and bye!